The winter snow gently blanketed the Montana terrain as the stagecoach rolled up to a humble ranch house, its wooden wheels crunching on the fresh powder covering the valley. Ella Laner Watson, 26, adjusted her blue travel dress and gripped her worn leather suitcase tightly, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness about meeting her future husband. Eleanor had responded to an ad for a mail-order bride, hoping for a fresh start after losing her family in a fire back east. The arrangement had been made through letters with Mr. Benjamin Turner, a cattle rancher who needed a wife to help care for his home and young daughter. Their correspondence had been formal but kind, and Ella Laner allowed herself to hope that this new life could offer the family and security she so longed for. As the stagecoach driver helped her disembark and gathered her belongings, Ella Laner surveyed the snow-covered ranch. The modest log buildings and the towering mountains in the distance made a striking, though smaller and more rustic, impression than the letters had led her to believe. "This is the Turner Ranch, miss," the driver said, placing her suitcase in the snow. "Good luck to you." Before Eleanor could respond, the front door of the ranch house swung open, and a tall man emerged onto the porch. He wore a brown leather vest over a cream shirt, dark pants, and a wide-brimmed hat that cast a shadow over his face. As he approached, Eleanor noticed he appeared to be in his early 30s, with strong features and eyes that betrayed a mix of surprise and confusion. "Ma'am," the man said, tipping his hat politely, "I'm afraid there's been a mistake. I wasn't expecting any visitors today." Ella Laner's stomach sank as she realized something had gone wrong. "Are you Mr. Benjamin Turner?" she asked, though she already sensed from his reaction that he wasn't. "No, ma'am," he replied. "I'm Jacob McKenna, and this is the McKenna Ranch. The Turner Ranch is about 20 miles north, near Silver Creek." Eleanor's face went pale as she understood that she had been dropped off at the wrong ranch. The stagecoach was already pulling away, and the driver hadn't heard their conversation. She was stranded at a stranger's ranch in the falling snow, with no way to reach her intended destination until the next scheduled transport. "Oh no," Ella Laner whispered, bringing her hand to her mouth. "I'm so sorry for the confusion. I'm Eleanor Watson, and I was supposed to marry Mr. Turner tomorrow." The driver must have misunderstood. Jacob, seeing the distress in her eyes, looked at her sympathetically. "Miss Watson, you can't go to the Turner Ranch in this weather, especially not today. The snow's getting heavier, and it'll be dark soon. You're welcome to stay here tonight, and I'll help you get to the right place tomorrow." Before Eleanor could respond, a small figure appeared in the doorway of the ranch house. A little girl, about 7 years old, stepped out onto the porch, wearing a brown vest over a cream dress that matched the snowy landscape. Her dark hair was neatly braided, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity as she gazed at the unexpected visitor. "Papa," the little girl called. "Who is the pretty lady?" Jacob smiled gently at his daughter. "Molly, this is Miss Watson. She was traveling to another ranch, but there's been a mix-up. She'll be staying with us tonight." Molly's face lit up as she ran through the snow toward Ella Laner, her small boots leaving tracks in the soft powder. Without hesitation, she reached out and grabbed Eleanor's skirt, looking up at her with eyes full of wonder. "Miss Watson," Molly said, her voice filled with an innocent faith. "God finally sent you to us, didn't he?" Ella Laner's breath caught in her throat as she looked down at this sweet child, whose expression seemed to reveal months, or perhaps years, of hoping for someone just like Eleanor to come. "Molly," Jacob said gently, approaching them with a note of concern. "Miss Watson is only staying the night. She's going to another ranch tomorrow to meet her intended husband." But Molly didn't release her grip on Ella Laner's skirt. Instead, she leaned closer, her expression filled with earnest determination. "Papa, I've been praying every night for God to send us a mama," she said seriously. "And look, he sent Miss Watson right to our door in the snow. That has to be a sign." Eleanor knelt down in the snow to meet Molly's eyes, touched by the child's immediate acceptance and clear need for a mother. "Molly, that's very sweet. But I've made arrangements to marry someone else. I've given my word." Molly studied Ella Laner's face with the intensity of a child trying to understand why adults complicate things. "But Miss Watson, do you love the man you're supposed to marry?" Molly asked, her question so direct and innocent that Ella Laner found herself answering truthfully. "I've never met him, Molly. We've only exchanged letters. Then how do you know he's the right papa for you? Molly asked, her logic simple and clear. Jacob stepped forward, clearly embarrassed by his daughter's boldness. Molly, that's enough. Miss Watson has made her plans, and we need to respect that. But Ella Lehner remained kneeling in the snow, captivated by something in Molly's gaze that made her question everything she thought she knew about her future. Molly, Ella Lehner asked softly, what makes you think God sent me here? Molly's face grew serious as she shared something that was clearly very important to her. Because last night, I dreamed about a lady in a blue dress who came to take care of Papa and me. And today, you came wearing the exact same blue dress from my dream. Ella Lehner looked down at her blue dress, then up at Jacob, who watched this exchange with growing wonder and understanding. Miss Watson, Jacob said quietly, I don't want to interfere with your plans, but I must tell you that Molly's been praying for a mother every night since her own mother passed away 2 years ago. I've never seen her take to anyone like she's taken to you. Ella Lehner's eyes filled with tears as she realized this mistake might not be a mistake at all, but something far more meaningful. Jacob, I came west looking for a family and a place to belong, she said, her voice trembling. I thought I knew where that place was, but standing here with Molly, I feel something I've never felt before. Jacob looked at her, his voice soft but filled with hope. What is that? I feel like I'm already home, Ella Lehner admitted, surprising herself with the truth of her words. Molly clapped her hands with joy. I knew it. I knew God would send us the right mama. Over the next few days, as the snow continued to fall and travel became impossible, Ella Lehner had the chance to experience life at the McKenna Ranch. She learned that Jacob was a kind, hard-working man, struggling to raise Molly alone while managing his small but thriving cattle operation. Molly was bright, loving, and in desperate need of a mother's care and guidance. Most importantly, Eleanor realized that the bond she felt with Jacob and Molly was deeper and more natural than anything she had experienced in her correspondence with Benjamin Turner. The three of them fit together like pieces of a puzzle that had finally found their proper places. When the weather cleared and a messenger arrived from the Turner Ranch, Ella Lehner made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. She wrote a letter to Benjamin Turner explaining that she could no longer go through with their marriage arrangement, and asked Jacob if she could stay at the McKenna Ranch permanently. Ella Lehner, Jacob said as they stood on the porch, watching Molly play in the snow. Are you sure this is what you want? You gave up a lot to come west, and Turner has a much larger operation than mine. Ella Lehner smiled, watching Molly build a snowman with carefree joy. Jacob, I didn't come west looking for wealth or status. I came looking for a family. And Molly was right. God sent me exactly where I needed to be. 6 months later, on a beautiful spring day with wildflowers blooming across the Montana meadows, Ella Lehner and Jacob were married in a simple ceremony at the nearby town's church. Molly served as both flower girl and maid of honor, beaming with joy as she watched her prayers being answered. During the ceremony, the pastor spoke about how sometimes God redirects our paths when we think we're lost, guiding us to destinations far greater than we could ever have planned ourselves. Sometimes, the pastor said, what seems like a mistake is really a miracle in disguise. Sometimes, we have to get lost before we can be found. As Ella Lehner and Jacob exchanged their vows, with Molly standing beside them holding a bouquet of wildflowers, Ella Lehner thought about how a simple mistake in transportation had led her to the life she had always dreamed of but never dared to hope for. The stagecoach driver's mistake hadn't taken her to the wrong ranch, but to the right family. Molly's innocent faith had seen what the adults had missed, that sometimes the most important journeys are not the ones we plan, but the ones that happen when we have the courage to see that we've already arrived where we belong. Years later, when Ella Lehner told the story of how she came to the McKenna Ranch, she would always smile and say that sometimes the best destinations are the ones we never intended to find. And sometimes, a little girl's prayers can redirect a stagecoach.